Welcome back to another episode of The Breakthrough Room. I'm your host, Christine, and today I'm excited to bring on my next guest. He's not only my best friend, but he is also my former co-host of our first podcast that we did together called Your Single Friends. So if you were a listener of that podcast, you can kind of say this is like a mini reunion, but of course, breakthrough style. So if there's anything you like about this episode, please share with your friends, subscribe, rate, and review because it really helps me out.
Baby, we're back. Do you cuss on this show?
I do curse. No, okay. Not often, but you can curse.
All right, we're fucking back, baby. Back like cook crack.
Okay.
that was an old school Joel's Santana reference.
Oh, okay. Well, if you are a Your Single Friends listener, it's not going to be a traditional Your Single Friends episode, but what I did think of doing is that we're going to play Rules for Life. And that was a game we played on the show. But how we're going to play it this time is I'm going to ask him a question and he is going to tell a story, and I'll tell a story as well. But we're not just going to share our rule. We're going to share our story and how we came to that rule. So are we ready?
Ready, Freddy.
Actually, you know what? Before we even get into the story, Román, are you still single?
I am.
You are single.
Still single. Still habitually single. It's gotten since our heyday. It's definitely been a little more interesting.
Okay.
First of all, I'm on the apps and I'm full on in the apps now. Well, okay. So we're not on camera, but for again people that used to listen to us, like I as the show went on, as our seasons went on, people would always comment that I was like consistently losing weight from season 1 to season 4. So I'm like down like 25 pounds. I grew out my hair. I chopped it all off. So I noticed that the thinner I get, well, at one point I noticed that the thinner I get and the longer my hair was, like my love life was definitely popping. But yes, I'm long-winded. Yes, I'm still single. I'm still on the apps. I am dating relatively consistently.
You are pretty consistent, actually. Like you go through seasons, just like me. My seasons last a little bit longer, but you go through your seasons, and then you're like, when you're in, you're in. So proud of you.
Yeah, I mean it's been expensive, but just trying to get more creative with it.
Yeah, I mean I've been trying, sort of.
For people who don't, she's selling herself short. She's doing phenomenal. She's doing great. No, I swear to God, anybody that listened to us from back in the day, like, she is doing awesome. I'm so proud. I live for these stories. I cannot wait. She'll send me messages to me. I'm like, it's so early, but there's a time difference. So it'll be like 8 o'clock. I'm like, look at this old woman, but for her, it's like 11. So I was like, dang, she was up all night, relatively, talking to people and stuff. Doesn't talk to her cats as much.
No, I'm trying to talk to some people. We'll see what happens. Right now, it's just conversations. But anyway. Okay, so now we're going to get into the game. So, are you ready for this? I actually picked some cards out that I thought you may have stories on. So, let's see what happens. Okay, so the first rule is, all right, we're starting off on a serious note. Román, rules for letting go of the past.
Oh, shit. Rules for letting go of the past.
Yes, tell us a story before you get to your rule.
I think the big thing is whether this is pessimistic or not, like people have to understand that life is going to keep going. Life keeps moving forward. So there's no time in dwelling in the past, which sucks because, sometimes you have happy memories in the past, where, there's people that probably listen to your show and stuff that may have, lost loved ones or something or previous relationships or anything like that. Or even somewhat lighthearted, like they lost a pet or something. Obviously, remembering that's a happy memory. So it's hard to let go of a happy memory and hard to move on from it. But, world keeps spinning. So I think you just have to take it for what it is. If it's a bad memory, leave it in the past. If it's a happy memory, leave it in the past. But you can just at least look back on it and smile on it. It's definitely easier said than done, though.
So was there a time where, like, what you're saying is, if I'm going to paraphrase, you're saying that life goes on. Like, that's kind of your philosophy as far as, so is there a time in your life where, like, that that philosophy fully made sense to you and you were able to apply it?
I guess if I'm going to put myself on blast, the easiest one would probably be the 2-parent household with my son.
Okay.
You know, at one point, you know, it was a 2-parent household. My son had his mom, he had his dad, and you know, for a while there was a happy home, happy medium, and unfortunately, for one way or another, it didn't work out. And there's nothing I can do about that. There was nothing I could do about that then. There's definitely nothing I can do about now, and it's perfectly okay. Like, both parties have moved on. One of the parties, my ex, is actually happily married now, and that's fine. But that's one of those things I had to come to terms that, like, my son wasn't going to have a nuclear family, you know, upbringing, at least at this point in his early in his life with the 2-parent household. Like, he's going to have the multiple homes and stuff like that. So I just had to come to peace with that, and I had to just focus on being the best possible parent I can do and develop that for him. Nice.
So I think this actually, I feel like, is so applicable to my life in the last year or so that I've been, I don't want to say struggling with, that it's made the most sense to me. I would say, I think what's helped me finally click of letting go in the past is accepting that, in regards to relationships, is accepting that, like, you can still feel some way about someone and they don't have to be in your life anymore. Whereas, like, I always kind of thought that to get over someone, you stop having feelings for them. And so I think that's why I couldn't let go of the past, because I'm like, well, if I feel this way, then I'm focusing so much on the past because I still feel this way. But now I've come to a point, I'm like, oh no, I can actually still feel this way and kind of like cherish those feelings for that person, but make room for the rest of life and keep going on. So yeah, I feel like that's finally kind of clicked for me, is like, you don't have to get over your feelings for someone in order to move on.
So I'm a big, obviously you know me, but in the interest for your show, I'm a big pop culture, like, stories reader, movies and all that. So it sounds really funny, but the way I generalize my life is, you know, people say your life is a story, right? It's not just one story or one book, in my personal opinion. I feel like they're broken down into volumes. So again, everybody's going to be different. With me, my volumes are broken down by decades. So I'm 32. So right now I'm on book 3. So this is the 3rd decade of living. So I'm on book 3, chapter 2. So
I miss these analogies.
And then I swear this is what's been helping me.
I mean, it makes sense. I'm with you.
So I'm on book 3, chapter 2, and I had to come to terms that sometimes you do have supporting characters in your life for quite some time. So I've had, you know, and you're gonna have your consistent ones. Like for me, you know,
like your
right
sisters.
now, one of the big, my sisters and like my mom. My mom has been a supporting character, and then you have, just like life, just like TV shows and stuff, you have your tragedies. You know, in book 2, chapter 9, my father passed away. You know, he passed away at 29 and stuff like that. So that was like the ending of book 2. So I go into book 3 in my 30s, like a whole new look. So I'm being lighthearted, but I'm also being dead serious on that. So because of that, like, that's one thing. And I recently kind of came into this. I recently started looking into this probably within the last year or so. But it really has helped me make some peace with people in and out of my life. So, I mean, offline, you know, there's a unique gap in some of my friendships relatively recently that never had happened before. And that was like my way of justifying it, is like sometimes people have to do their own things for a while. So I think that's the other thing that's been helping me, just, you know, keep one foot in front of the other and eyes forward in regards to that, you know, because track keeps moving. So hopefully
I normally will make fun of you, but I actually really like this idea. No,
yeah, it's really helped me.
Yeah, no, I like this concept of, like, I mean, obviously we say, like, there's different chapters and people are a part of different seasons, right? But I never thought of it as like a movie. And so, like, let's say 5 or 10 years of my life is a movie, and then there's a sequel to it, but it may not have all the same characters, or maybe the characters will come back in like the 3rd version of the movie. So I don't know. That's kind of cool. I like that. All right.
It's really been helping me. And it's literally, it brought me, as corny as it sounds, it brought me clarity. Actually, to be a little on the nose. It was a breakthrough for me.
Oh, look at you.
There we go. There we go. Trademark pending for Christine Santiago. I don't know if you say your last name on there. So trademark pending for Christine.
I actually made this an LLC. Did I tell you?
Yes, you did. You did.
Yeah.
So that's badass. So
Okay.
Nobody steal this or she'll sue your ass.
Yeah. Me and all my big shot legal team.
There you go.
All right. So this one's a little bit lighthearted. I am actually very excited to hear what you have to say about this one. Rules for wearing a freakum dress. So remember, you got to tell a story and how you came up on the rule.
A freakum dress. Like what I think is a freakum dress?
Sure. Like just again, think of a woman that you would find completely attractive. She's wearing a freakum dress. What would be your rule? Like, what would you? And it could be a positive rule, like to make it really work, to carry the confidence. What's the rule? Or maybe just don't ever do that in a freakum dress, in your opinion.
Can't be wearing panties with them sundresses, girls. We gotta.
That's a freakum dress.
Oh, a sundress season? Oh my god! Especially if a girl got ass. I want to see the dress all up in them cheeks, girl. That's what I want to see. No, I think sundresses are so sexy, and get a girl with a nice sundress, nice little choker necklace, her nails done, eyebrows done.
A choker necklace. That's very specific.
Oh yeah, I think it's super because I think it accentuates like the bosom, so to speak. So I think it's beautiful, but it's also high enough that brings attention to her face. I'm a sucker for pretty faces, obviously. So it's like with a choker, like you're gonna notice the necklace, so you may obviously naturally, unfortunately or whatever, you look down or something. But then it also brings the attention up, brings the eyes up, and that's the other thing with the eyebrows. So when their eyebrows are done, brings the eyes up, and like I really appreciate a very pretty face, especially like a girl that takes the time to take care of herself. And I'm not saying like she's got to put on like a pound of makeup or anything like that, but someone that like, oh, you actually like wash your face and, you know, and exfoliate and stuff like that. I think that's incredibly sexy. So the rule for that is, accentuate.
Don't wear panties is what you just said.
Don't wear panties. That's my rule.
What about a thong?
I mean, I guess, I mean, it's hot out here. So, I mean, you want something up your ass like that? I mean, that's,
so my rule for wearing a freakum dress is don't be too drunk in it, because, yeah, I'm not going to go into the full story because I'm sure it'll come up someday. But basically, I was trying to be scandalous in my freakum dress, Old Town Scottsdale, like short as hell, push-up bra, boobs out, 6-inch heels, too drunk. And while I was walking on the sidewalk trying to get a cab, fell on all fours with the high beams of the traffic staring at my white ass. And then I got some bloody ass knees after that. So that was the end of the night.
Jeez.
So don't be too drunk in a freakum dress.
Don't be too drunk in a freakum dress. So maybe in that instance, it's good that you didn't follow Román's rule when you actually wore panties.
I know. I think I did. Yeah, I probably did. Okay. How about...
It's like, you can see your butthole.
Oh, this is bringing back so many Your Single Friends feelings.
It's like, we're like outcasts, guys. Like we never broke up. It's just, you know, we're working on our own projects. Christine's got the breakthrough room, and my project is absolutely nothing. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Your project is getting in killer shape. That's your project.
There we go.
Leveling up. Okay. How about rules for being friends with an ex? Now, you definitely have stories on this because you're friends with all your exes. So please, how did you get to being friends with your exes, and what are your rules?
Okay, so with that, so the rule, okay, first I'll knock out the rule and then I'll tell the story. So the rule is be mature. Keep it simple. Be mature. People, and try to make it work. That being said, people come in your life for a reason, again, using, the story in the books and stuff. So they may have been a main character for a chapter, or half a chapter. And the way I look at it, especially like, for example, if I've slept with someone, like I have, shared, as cheesy as it sounds, like I've shared like a moment with you, obviously, so it's like, to me, I'm like, I don't know, there's weird coming back from, like, there's no coming back from that. So I'm like, you might as well just be mature about it. Like, whatever, we had a fling, it worked out, it did, or it didn't, and then you just keep it moving. I would say I'm I wouldn't necessarily say I'm flat out friends with all my exes as I've aged a little bit, but I'm definitely friendly with about, 99% of them. Like we're all like friends on social media and stuff like that, which is pretty fascinating. I don't really have
I'm
much
not friends with any of my exes on social media.
It's actually relatively funny. One of my exes, relatively recently, not my son's mother, but like another ex from high school, she was actually going to braid my hair when my hair was long. And we had jumped on a call, but we couldn't get our schedules and stuff. But she was just asking me how I was doing and stuff. And it was just pretty funny. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm just working myself. I wasn't always the best boyfriend. She was like, that's for sure. I'm like, bitch. But I don't have, there's not enough, like, I'm friendly with them. Do I sit there and go out and have drinks with them or, hang out with them? Probably not. I have been in situations like there was a girl that I was dating and, it just didn't work out. And then she started dating like another guy that I knew. And then the two of them invited me to their baby shower. And like, I didn't make it, but I've just always been like, you know what? Like, it works. It works. If it doesn't, it doesn't,
That is so weird. Yeah, see, my rule is I'm not going to say don't be friends with an ex because I don't think that's realistic. I think it's possible to be friends with an ex, but I think you need to be realistic with yourself and like, are you over the feelings? Yeah. Period. And
set parameters and boundaries.
Exactly. I was going to say, are you over the feelings for the person and does the other person respect where you're at? So like if you're trying to be friends and the other person is not over you and you decide to get into that friendship, is the other person kind of playing with your emotions a little bit? Like, are you getting the random I miss you, I think of you, but they broke up with you? Like that's where it's like, okay, that can't be a friendship. But I am optimistic that I can be friends with an ex if that's something that was wanted from both parties once the feelings are gone and that was like that position was respected. At least for me. I feel like if I've made it clear that I feel this way about you, don't fucking talk about feelings or like try to like have this quick moment of connection when you're not going to like do anything. So that can't be a friendship. But okay. So this is a good one because I feel like we both relate on this. So I'm curious to see what your rule would be. So this one is going to be specifically for minorities who don't necessarily feel like they fit in with the majority of the population and their minority population. So rules for surviving in this world as a insert label. And I want to put in as a Latin American.
Ooh.
So to be more specific, Román and I are both feel very similar in that like we grew up not being brown enough for our brown people and we weren't white enough for white people. So where do you fit in? So rules for surviving a world in that context.
I guess the simplest thing would be try to find your place and try to not let your culture divide define you. I don't know if that makes sense. But try to find your place. So like the story aspect of it is like Christine said, growing up, I'm a first generation American. My mother's from Mexico. My father was from the United States, from Los Angeles. And I was raised pure Mexican. My full name is Mexican as fuck. I was raised Catholic. I did the whole cultural Mexican thing with the cowboy hats and the cowboy boots and stuff like that. And then as I got older, especially once my parents divorced, like I lost a lot of that culture. And then when I had moved and stuff, and it was true, like the white kids, they, I was just a Mexican kid to them, and, you would think half the time, like it was just a big divide. But then for the Mexican kids, I was, I didn't know a lot of the Spanish folk songs, or I didn't know a lot of that. So like the community that accepted me with like open arms was the black community, because to them, they didn't see, how Mexican or not I was. They just saw, oh, like, as a Mexican dude that speaks Spanish. And I think that is a big thing, like one of my best friends is black, and his family, like, to them, like, it was never a thing on was I good enough or was I not. Like, they didn't look at me that way. So I think that's what helps me as an adult. So, just, find your way, and it'll work itself out. And then I think it's gotten easier as I've aged as well, though, because I've met people like even yourself where we can relate to that, where, you kind of constantly have that culture shift. So know your role, though. I mean, there's also being Latin American, we literally come in all shades and colors too. So, some Latinos are going to have a different experience than others, and yeah, it's definitely tricky. It's definitely tricky on that.
Yeah, I would say half jokingly, just be friends with black people. Because I mean, it's a joke, but it's not a joke, because I would agree the group that didn't really bring up like my color or how I spoke were black people, and like black guys loved me. Like it just I mean, I love black guys, so it worked out well. But I just mean, like, it wasn't this thing, because like Latin men, I was a white girl, and I'm just like, well, okay. And then same thing with girlfriends. And it was always like, I don't know about you, but it was always said like playfully, but it also wasn't a compliment. So it was just like this little dig that's supposed to be funny, but I'm like, okay, after a while, it's like, I'm not white. I'm Puerto Rican. I was born in America, but like, I'm proud to be Puerto Rican at the same time. But I think as an adult, as growing up, that's very confusing, because you're trying to find your identity in general. But as an adult, I think my rule now would just be find people that just accept you as you are. Because I'm finding, like, for example, I'm talking to a guy right now, becoming really good friends with him. He's Puerto Rican. He speaks Spanish. He raised his kid as first language to speak Spanish. He doesn't talk to me weird. Like, he doesn't make a comment about how I don't speak Spanish. He doesn't say anything. Like, he'll say Spanish words to me and he'll be like, oh, do you know what that means? And like, but he doesn't say it in a condescending way. He says it more in a way like, I'm not trying to make you feel stupid or out of place. So it's like things like that, it's just like, find people that don't even care that I don't know, you're quote unquote too white or whatever the hell people say. But okay, next question. Okay, Román. Rules for approaching a woman you're interested in who's in a larger group. What would you do?
I think the big thing is establish confidence, but be polite. Actually,
what does that mean?
So my rule is going to be, don't be afraid of rejection. No, actually, no. Establish confidence, but be polite.
Okay. Okay.
Like rejection, I'll go into more of it, but because there's it really just depends. Everybody's a little different, and like, sometimes I do really well at this. Sometimes I'm really rusty, but I think I mean, if you see, I don't know, man. Women flirt funny. I see the jokes and memes and stuff like that, because it's like women's way of flirting at the gym, for example, is they just give you eye contact once. And
I was just going to say, my rule is you just don't talk to them and look at them.
Yeah.
You just look.
Yeah. So, but I think, if you establish eye contact, usually what I used to do when I was doing pretty well is if I established eye contact, I think the second time, then the third time I would smile. If they smiled back, that was usually my sign. So then I would walk up.
So if they're in a big group, you're still going to walk up to them?
Oh yeah, but I'm not shy. So
yeah.
So I'd walk up like, hi, my name is Román. How are you? And stuff like that. I mean, it also depends in the context, because like if I'm at the bar, with everybody else, and they're at like bottle service, and they got a table or something, that's going to be a little bit harder, but
so a table of a bunch of women getting bottle service, you see one that stands out to you. She looks at you twice.
That one's going to be tough. I want to sit here and be like, yeah, I'm going to go up to the table and be like, what's up? Hi, how are you doing? But, I'm also not going to lie. Like, maybe I do that 2 out of 10 times. Maybe the other 8 out of 10, I'm just like, damn, hopefully she leaves the table. Now, if she does leave the table,
You're going to chase her down like a creep.
no, not like a creep. But like, let's say she goes to the bar or something like that. Which, why would she go to the bar? You know, that's the thing. If she's got bachelors, why is she going to the bar? And if she still kept eye contact and smile or something, then I'd probably like make a beeline like, hi, how you doing? My name's Román. But then again, also, I haven't been really to the clubs since COVID started. So it's going on like 3 years. So I'm thinking, let me kind of rewind. I don't want to erase and rewind like a whiteboard, but think, okay, maybe at a bar. That's what we'll use a bar. So yeah, scratch that whole story because I'm in my almost mid-30s now. So if it's a group of girls at a bar and same thing, eye contact, I will walk up and, you know, just say hello, you know, and just try and strike up a conversation or something. And then obviously, depending on the group of friends, if they're being, you know, if they are being opening, like body language and stuff like that, be polite and introduce myself to everybody. And then sometimes, depending on, you know, what the budget's like, if I have to bite the bullet, buy them all a fucking round, but really just try and take the attention of one of them. But that's the worst. It's like, hey, can I buy your friends a drink? I really just want to buy you a drink, but I'm going to bite the bullet and buy everybody fucking $9 shots and just be like, hopefully I get your fucking number.
I don't think... Okay, maybe I will say maybe when I have gone out, guys have gotten my friends a drink, but it was only because I was only always with one person. I don't feel like I've had, you know what? I can't really speak. I don't go out to clubs that often. So that's probably why I don't have a reference. But if I do, I'm only with like one or two girls. Like I don't go out with a big group of women.
I was out in LA and these two, this one girl, two of them, they're beautiful, beautiful girls. And I just remember I was like, fuck it. Fuck it. Even with the rejection, I have to talk to them. And I went up to talk to them, and one of the girls, she was super about it and stuff. There's a fine print to that. I'll get to it, but she was super about it and stuff like that. But she's like, hey, but if you're gonna buy me a drink, like you gotta buy my sister a drink too, because they look like sisters. So I was like, yeah, not a problem. But she was cool. She was chopping it up with me and stuff. And then you know, the night kind of went on. To be fair, I also got more and more drunk as the night went on. But looking back at it, one of my friends was convinced they were hookers because they were like super dressed up in this like random little dive bar on like Venice Beach.
Oh God.
And he was like, he's like, and not in a bad way, but he's just like, they had to be working girls, man. They had to be working girls because once they realized that you were just trying to talk to them, not like buy from them, like that's probably why they like drifted off. I was like, maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I was so drunk they had to send me home by myself in an Uber, so I don't really remember much of that.
Oh, night. That was recently, wasn't that?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Oh, black girls that okay.
Christine, there were black girls that were speaking Spanish. So
that was your dream. Yeah.
Of course.
You were in heaven. Okay.
They're actually both Mexican too, which was surprising. I thought they were going to be Dominican, but they're like, nope, like I think they're like, yeah, we're Mexican and yada yada. Yeah. And I was like, Jesus Christ. So I was like, you guys look like you were drawn out of my imagination.
Well, unfortunately, I don't really have a rule because as outgoing and confident as I can be, I think when it comes to like men, like the dynamic between myself and a man in a romantic setting, I am very submissive. Like I am very much like chase me, like, but not in a chase me where like I'm going to play games with you. I just mean like where I want that man to be very dominant and like approach me. And God bless you guys, I know that's not easy. I'm like, in general, I know that's tough and I'm asking for a lot, but I just think that's attractive. Like I want to feel like a little delicate flower. Even though I also want to walk around like, don't fuck with me, but I also want to feel like a little delicate flower at the same time.
It's like, don't fuck with me, but you can deflower me later.
Oh God, I hope my dad doesn't listen to this episode. Okay.
I'm a filthy fuck. What can I say?
Okay. I have two more rules. Okay. This second to last one. Rules for rekindling an old love. Or you can even say an old friendship. We'll just say rules for rekindling a relationship because I feel like for the most part, they'll be about the same.
See, that's tough because I feel like that's hard to create a rule for because what's the context, you know? Like what happened? Why did the friendship or the relationship end, you know?
So let's assume friendship or relationship. Let's assume it ended with someone being hurt. it wasn't one of those that you just gradually stop talking to each other. Someone was kind of hurt. It doesn't mean that someone did someone dirty. It's just there were hurt feelings in the decision to separate the friendship or relationship, and you want to rekindle it. So I'll go while you're thinking.
Yeah.
I don't actually have a story of doing this. But I imagine that if I were to rekindle any friendship or romantic relationship from the past where it didn't end badly, like someone didn't betray someone, it just, for whatever reason, it ended. My thing is, and I feel like people don't like this, I feel like people don't want to face the past or face the hurt feelings that may have come. But if I'm going to rekindle a relationship, I expect the first thing that we establish is handling what happened in the past. Like, it needs to be addressed. Even if it's like, hey, really sorry how that ended, but, I want to move forward. Like, it could be simple, right? Like, there needs to be an addressing of what may have happened before we even move forward. Because I'm the kind of like, if I'm the one on the receiving end where I'm hurt, I need my feelings validated before you just pop into my life and pretend like nothing ever happened. So that's where it's like, I'm not saying it has to be rehashed, but it has to be acknowledged. And because I also think in that moment of acknowledging, you're also giving me permission or giving me information to decide, does this feel like the right thing to do to rekindle? Otherwise, when you just pop up in someone's life and pretend like nothing ever happened, I feel like you're dismissing the past. You're not giving that person any kind of clarity as to why you're even talking to them. Are you interested in pursuing something further, or are you just popping up to say hi because you're lonely? Like, so that's where I'm like, acknowledge that this was once a thing or feelings, and then we can move forward and talk about rekindling. So that's what I would want to happen if I rekindled any type of relationship where there was at least some sort of hurt around it.
I like that. And I mean, I'll literally just keep it the same as you then. Acknowledge, and move forward. Acknowledge, but move forward.
I would say, to add to that, though, if you're going to move forward, you have to genuinely be honest with yourself and, like, are you capable of moving forward? Because so if you're going to hold,
if applicable.
Yeah, right. No, because it's like, if you're going to hold on to a grudge, then that's not going to be very productive in moving forward. So you do kind of have to be honest with that. Like, where are you at in order to move forward? Easier said than done, but I think that's just fair for both parties. Okay. Last question to wrap this up. Rules for living your life to the fullest. Give me a story.
Well, let me see. I don't know if I have a specific story per se, but my rule is going to be, you don't owe anybody anything in this world. Remember that, people. You do not owe anybody anything. It is your life. You live it the way you want it to be. What makes you happy. That's my personal opinion. I
don't like that, because you do owe people kindness and respect.
Maybe. But
just as a default, right? Like, just as a default.
I mean, be a nice person. Be a good person.
Okay, that's good. Clarity.
But you don't owe them shit, like, you don't need to explain anything to anybody, once you're a full on adult, it's like, what, it's your life. It's your life. Now, granted, if you have children, or if you have, a significant other or something like that, then yes, you're going to have to modify that rule a little bit. But if you're you don't owe anybody a goddamn thing, because at the end of the day, everybody's always going to have an opinion, but that opinion is, in the grand scheme of things, it's invalid. A phrase that I had, mentioned about myself is, I had spent, my whole 20s trying to keep up with the Joneses, when I did not give a fuck what the Joneses thought. So I'm like, I was constantly contradicting myself. I'm like, if I don't care what anybody thinks, why am I trying to be like them? So that's kind of my spiel, It's like, where, at least, again, for the record, I'm not going to knock on religion or anything. In my opinion, until proven otherwise, I feel like you're only here once. So, you live at your ways. I mean, don't be an anarchist, and don't, like, fuck it. Like, be aware that your actions come with consequences, whether, or every action, there's a reaction, whether it's good or bad. But I mean, it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I mean, that's just, that's just the way I live my life is, that's the way I'm going to roll with it, and I mean, again, I do have certain standards and morals, so maybe my way of living my life is going to be different than someone, because again, I have a son, not only, I mean, a child in general, but specifically a son. So it's my responsibility to make sure that he's not only a good standing person in society, but a good man in society, especially in, Western society. So I'm doing my best to try and teach him the importance of, being, a gentleman and being, good with women, good with people, good with money, good with family, but I'm not perfect either, so I'm still working on that too. So, just, yeah, that's my whole spiel. We're all just trying to figure shit out. The older I get, the more I realize people are still trying to figure shit out.
So remind me again, what was your rule?
I don't even remember now.
Oh, you don't owe any. I know. That's why I was like, hold on. You don't owe anyone anything. I think that was your rule.
What was the question? Was your rule. Rules for living your life to the fullest?
Rules. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't owe anybody anything. Enjoy it. It's yours. It's not anybody else's. I had a cousin that passed away from leukemia about 10 years ago. And we had asked her, I saw her about 2 or 3 days before she died. And we asked her, I was like, do you have any advice? And she's like, I spent my whole life worrying about what other people thought. And it wasn't until it was too late, because she died young. She died at like 40 with 3 children. And, and she was like, if I stopped caring, if I cared less what people thought, I would have had a happier life.
Yeah, we don't learn those lessons until we're at the end. But no, that's a good rule. I'm going to say from personal experience, easier said than done, but get rid of your expectations and timelines of the future, because I certainly thought at 36, I would have had a family by now. I would have been married like 25, had a kid at 27, probably had 5 kids by now. Like, that's what I thought. And when you have those expectations and timelines and you don't meet them, you almost feel like something's wrong with you. But the reality is, my goal of having a family required another person. I don't have control over another person or when I meet that person. And it's very silly to just settle with anyone just to have children at 25 or whatever. And instead, here I am. I just did this crazy thing, 2 years ago, got to live in a couple different cities. I didn't get to visit cities. I lived in different cities for fun. And I'm just like living an adventure now. So I would say get rid of those timelines, those expectations, allow yourself to just be where you are today and let the rest fall into place. Easier said than done, but just have fun. If you're having fun, then who needs a deadline? Who wants a deadline to fun?
Exactly. Life's too short for that. Life's too short for fucking deadlines.
My new life goal is to live a life that I don't need a vacation from. Like, do you realize that we constantly take vacations to get away from our life, to get away from the stress and responsibilities? And I'm like, no, I really want to have a life where I don't feel like I need to get a vacation from it, but the vacation is a part of my life. So that's really what I'm trying to create. I don't have a rule book for that yet or a rule yet, but that's my goal.
I like that too. Just try to be happy. The world's so sad and ugly and serious as it is. So like, try to make it happy. And I know I bump heads with people because they're like, you're such a fucking glass half full kind of guy. But I'm like, you gotta be. Fuck.
Yeah. All right, Román. Well, I loved having you on the podcast again. I mean, I talk to you every day, but I love doing this with you. It's always fun. So we'll definitely have to do it again.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me, Miss Santiago. And what was it? What was my old little sign off? Wash your face, wash your ass, be a good fucking person.
Something like that. Yeah. All right.
All right, fuckheads. See you guys later.